Hi, and welcome back to part 2 of my workshop upgrade video. If you recall, in part 1 the biggest problem I had was with wood storage. So I've solved that in a few ways. One of them is I've made these box shelves. I've got 3 there, and above that I've got wood stored directly above them. They actually double up as a wood rack. Over to my right here, a bit hard to see because of the block windows right behind them, but there's another box shelf with wood storage on top. And if I keep turning a little bit more and point downwards underneath my lathe, I've managed to get it to the side under there, underneath the lathe, next to the lathe, and underneath the grinder and sharpener. To make the space underneath there, I've had to move a chest of drawers across to here, which I'm going to make into an outfeed for my saw table. Over behind all of that, you can see I've added additional wood storage here in the form of a rack. I've got my 3mm MDF stuck behind my air compressor, which is underneath the shower curtain. There we go, there's my finger pointing at it there. And I've built myself a new little storage centre for all my screws and stuff. That's a great little device because it doubles up as outboard storage for my MFT3 table. You can see here on top of it, if I move my little piece of wood, I've got a series of holes drilled out at the same spacing as the MFT table, and it's on lockable casters there. So I can move it to where it's needed, place the wood, and my offcut won't fall to the floor anymore. I can clamp it in place with the holes, or I can clamp it from the edge if necessary. So that's come up quite well. I've also moved my clamps over to here, so they're close to my workbench, which is directly behind me. And this is right next to the Capex, of course. I've installed an LED light, and it's a bit hard to see here again because of the light, but if I move a tad closer, you can see I've changed the way my clamps, my clamps are hung up. They used to be over on another rack above the lathe. The big thing, if I dare spin around and make you even dizzier, is that now I have full access to my lathe. I can walk right up to it and use it, which I couldn't before. There was just too much stuff in the way. So that's it. It's much tidier than it was. There's still a few things left to do, as there always is, but that's the bulk of it, thank goodness. Next to my drill press, I built this box for my chargers, for my battery operated tools. Open the lid up, you can see here we've got the different chargers all fixed in place. All the cables are neatly loomed together. I don't know if you can see, they're all cable tied nice and neatly, keep them in place. And the great thing about it is once you stick a battery in place, the lid won't shut. So we can't overheat anything and can't forget anything. And that's the same no matter which battery I put in there, you can't shut the lid and forget about it. You have to have the battery out in order to shut the lid again. One thing I haven't really shown up until now is my actual workbench. I built this thing nearly 10 years, actually probably more than 10 years ago now. Underneath there's 2 sets of cupboards on this side, and on the opposing side there's another set of cupboards and a set of drawers for tools and the like. The top itself is made of a large piece of MDF, 190 centimetres long by 110 centimetres wide. And that's supported on what was bits of old pergola, big thick wooden Oregon beams holding that up. And the edging around it is 20mm edging, also made of Oregon ex-pergola, as is the base that the cabinets sit on, that the whole thing sits upon. You can see I've drilled a series of holes in the top. They're for bench dogs. There were a lot less holes initially, but since I've started getting more and more into Festool products, I've added additional holes. This time round with Festool spacing, but there's a lot of holes originally which were just metrically spaced simply, because I draw by hand, done every 20 centimetres. Around this end of the bench we have my tail vise. Well, it's not really a proper tail vise, it's just a vise with wooden jaws, but it does a good job. I've been using it for years now. Quick release, excellent. There's the drawers for extra storage of tools and things, and the final cover at the end, and you can see there's another vise here, and in line of both of these vices were the original dog holes. You can see these peaks stick up, and you can put a piece of wood in between a dog and the peg and line the vice in to clamp it. I'm sure you all know how that works. There you go. I replaced the original cast iron dogs with plywood so I wouldn't mar the wood, and I expected them to snap within a couple of weeks, but more than 10 years later, there you go, still working. Nice strong bit of marine ply there. You can see I've added foam to the handles here. That's because when I was bending down and moving around it, I kept bashing the back on the handles. So let's just ease the pain a little bit as I move about.